Hey, my name's Alex Taylor, and I'd like to welcome you to my Beat Panic Today video series. The ideas, the techniques, the strategies that you're going to learn in these videos have already been used by thousands of people all around the world to stop severe general anxiety, panic attacks, and also to put an end to living in fear. I'm confident that these videos can do the same for you, so let's get started. Okay, so I know today you must be feeling anxiety, or maybe you've had a panic attack. That's what made you look for answers online, and that's what led you to me. A few years ago, I was in exactly the same place you are now. I'd been living with severe anxiety all my life, really, and I was looking for answers online. So I know the help that will be most valuable to you right away. That's why this first video is all about how to stop severe anxiety when it begins, and how to stop a panic attack. So whether you suffer with severe anxiety, or if you actually have full-blown panic attacks, these ideas are going to help you. I've got 3 separate ideas for you today, so let me quickly take you through each of them. The first one I've called the paper bag trick. It's almost a cliche now to think of someone with anxiety or having a panic attack as breathing into a paper bag to help. But like most cliches, it's true. Breathing into a paper bag really does help to reduce anxiety, and it does make a panic attack stop quicker than it would without doing it. Here's the way I use a paper bag, and what works best for all the people I've shared this with. Have paper bags anywhere you might have increased anxiety, or anywhere you think you might have an attack. That means have them around your home, in the rooms where you spend most of your time. Have them in your car if you drive, and if you work, have them at work. And keep one on you somewhere if you can, as a kind of backup. You're going to breathe into the paper bag anytime you feel your anxiety increase. So if you notice your breathing speeds up, or maybe you feel your heart rate increase, use the paper bag, but don't overdo it. What always worked well for me was to breathe into the paper bag for about 30 seconds. So that would probably be about 5 full breaths. Make the breaths into the bag slow and controlled. After 30 seconds, switch to breathing normally, without the bag. And then repeat another 30 seconds breathing into the bag. If you do this cycle of breathing, 30 seconds into the bag and 30 seconds breathing normally, for a couple of minutes, you'll find you're much calmer than when you started. And if you were having a panic attack, you'll find that it's completely stopped, or that it's much less severe than it was when you began. And here's another way you can use this idea. Someone showed me that you can actually use your hands cupped around your mouth if you don't happen to have a paper bag with you when you need one. And it actually works quite well. It's exactly the same method that I just described, but instead of a paper bag, you cup your hands loosely around your mouth. This is also a good option if you're somewhere in public, because it's much less obvious, and it also doesn't make the noise that a paper bag might make. Okay, the second of the 3 ideas I have for you today is to use sensory distractions. That means doing things that make your senses kind of busy. Most distractions that people teach to stop anxiety and panic are about ways to think, but that doesn't work. If you're so anxious and so scared, and you feel like you're dying, then really there's no thought you could ever think that would overpower that. But your senses, they can overpower it. Think about the way a smell or a song can instantly take your mind somewhere else. That's really a sensory distraction, and they work great with panic too. So anything that makes your ears or eyes, nose, or even your hands work can be great sensory distractions. Sensory distractions that worked well for me include watching really busy things on TV, like fast music videos or fast-moving sport. For your sense of hearing, maybe listen to confusing things like songs in a foreign language, or maybe a foreign talk show on the radio. With your sense of touch, playing with an old Rubik's Cube works really well. That used to work well for me. So any tactile game will work too, or holding things that are hot or cold, like ice cubes or maybe a hot potato. But be careful not to burn yourself. So play around with sensory distractions, and keep all of these in mind the next time you're trying to get your mind off your anxiety. Remember that sensory distractions work much better than the normal kind where you have to distract yourself with thoughts. Okay, the third thing I've got for you today is slightly more work than the other 2, but this one is so effective that it's worth the extra work it takes. This is a way to stop a panic attack or severe anxiety by getting to know the way your panic progresses inside you. After you've had a panic attack, take a minute or two to write down how and what you thought during the attack. You can also use a voice recorder for this instead of a pen. Personally, I used a voice recorder and that works really well. When you do this a few times, you'll soon realize that your attacks or your severe anxiety all have very similar patterns. So in the future, when you're having an attack or your anxiety is really increasing, you can have your notes or your voice recording with you, and you can see or hear where your thoughts are going to go before they actually go there. The reason this works so well is because it takes the mystery and the unknown from your attacks or your anxiety. One of the worst things about having an attack is that you feel like you're losing control and you don't know what's going to happen next. With your notes by your side or your voice recording playing with you, you take the frightening unknowns away from your panic attacks and your anxiety, and that takes away a lot of their power too. This idea of making notes or recordings and then referring to them during an attack is really powerful at stopping panic attacks, and I really hope you'll give it a try. Okay, so those are 3 simple ideas you can start using right away, and they really do work, so make sure you try them. If you'd like to know how to use these ideas as part of a really powerful and step-by-step system that will not only end your panic attacks and general anxiety, but that will also stop that feeling of fear and impending doom you probably know as well as I used to, then I want you to check out my program, Instant Panic Relief. Thousands of people loved the kind of tips I've shared with you today so much that they wanted them all put into a step-by-step program. So that's what I did. You can find out everything you need to know about my program by clicking on the link below this video now, or simply by waiting for this video to end in a moment when it will redirect you to the page with all the information on it. So read that next page really carefully. It has some excellent audio tips on how to stop anxiety and panic, and it will also show you how to get started with my program immediately. So if you found me online today because your anxiety is becoming more and more out of control or it's making your life a misery, then you're exactly who I created this program for. So please check it out and think very carefully about going through it with me. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed video number 1. Click that link below or wait to be redirected in a moment, and I'll see you on the next page.